Thanks for joining us. We're back for another week here at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. The weeks just fly by and we're here for our Week 4 preview. The old traditional quarter away mark, not the case anymore, but yeah, they're just flying by. Byron, just me and Byron in the hot seats again. You ready for Week 4? It feels like Week 3 just ended.
Yeah, we are recording a bit earlier than usual, obviously, which brings that on a little more, but it's we talked about it the other day, kind of spent the summer wishing for everything to get here, and then all of a sudden it's like Week 4 already. And yeah, I think it is an important Week 4. It's the last week before the buys kick in. And, if you haven't won a game by now, pressure is that hot seat's really getting tingly. So, yeah, some big games this weekend coming up, and yeah, you don't want to end up 0-4. I don't know what the odds are of you making the playoffs when you go to 0-4. I know 0-3 is bad. Even in the 17-game season, 0-4, I imagine, must be pretty terminal. So
yeah, I mean, we've got, I suppose, three teams at 0-3. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I think for a couple of them, certainly one's got championship aspirations, one's certainly got postseason aspirations.
And the Titans are doing the best.
Yeah, and the Titans are trying. So yeah, a loss this week is a killer, and we'll get to that when we talk about those games. Got a great episode lined up for you. As always, in the preview, we've got a fantastic guest. That's going to be our first segment this week. We've got Keg, the Panthers magpie, our friend in the Northeast, who's the go-to guy for all things Carolina Panthers in the UK. Given the Panthers got such a good win last week, I thought it'd be great to have Keg on. So we'll hear all about his thoughts on that win. We'll preview the matchup against the Bengals. Plus, we'll hear about his trip to Carolina. He recently got back from going to Carolina. He was at the Week 2 game versus the Chargers and got to go to a college game as well. So we'll hear all about that. And he'll take on our FourFold challenge. And then myself and Byron will preview the Sky Sports games, the 6 and the 9 o'clock one, Sunday Night Football. And we'll dabble on Monday Night Football. But we're a bit far out from Monday Night Football because it's Wednesday when we're recording this week. So, yeah, it's a long way away to start predicting those games. But we've done it anyway because that's what we do here at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. So we'll kick off. We'll hand over to myself with Keg. He's going to take part in our FourFold challenge, and we'll preview Carolina Panthers, Cincinnati Bengals. Here's Keg. First up on our Week 4 preview episode, we're joined by a returning guest. I think this is the third time we've had Keg on from the Panthers Magpie. Keg, joining us again. It's great to have you on. You must be having a good time coming on Good Teams and Great Teams Cover because you keep coming back.
Of course, yeah. I think this might actually be my fourth appearance. I know I done one with Byron one time. I think this is our third time speaking.
Yeah.
And then, I've been on with Byron, just us two one time. So, fourth time on the channel. But, always good to come and talk to you guys, talking NFL, Panthers, whatever it is that you want to talk about. I'm always happy to come on and have a chat.
Excellent. And we've got you, we've caught you the right week off the back of a win for the Carolina Panthers. Keg's the go-to guy for all things Carolina Panthers in the UK. So we thought it was absolutely the right thing to do to reach out after a fantastic win for the Panthers in Week 3 against the Raiders to come on and talk about that a little bit and also preview the game against the Bengals. And Keg's going to take part in our FourFold challenge as well. You're a busy man. You've been an extremely busy man. You've been away in the Carolinas, also off to Charlotte, and saw you a little bit at South Carolina game as well against LSU. So we're looking forward to hearing about that trip, and you'll take part in our FourFold challenge. But Keg, what have you got coming up, kind of channel-wise? So you've got the Panthers channel, you've got the Newcastle United channel as well. Big fan of the two now. So what have you got coming up?
A lot at the minute. Just need to try and get the diary scheduled and organized because, even before I went to Carolina, I had a lot of people asking about the trip when I was back if I wanted to come on various channels from both Panthers and NFL channels from both the UK and US. I've got a lot of people to get back in contact with and arrange some podcasts. So, this is my first post-trip podcast, so you're getting the exclusive here. No doubt I'm going to talk about this multiple times over the next couple of weeks. Getting it here first. And then, with the Magpie channel or Newcastle United fan channel, got the weekly podcast that it goes out every Tuesday, apart from this week as we were due to have a game. And will also probably be Wednesday next week because that rescheduled game is now Tuesday next week. So, we'll be back Wednesday. So It's every Tuesday unless Newcastle are playing, and then we will be pushed back to the Wednesday. So yeah, we go live and put that on every streaming service that you go in if you want to listen to the audio podcast platform.
Excellent. Make sure you go give Keg a follow over on the Magpie channel and the Panthers Magpie, and great content. The go-to guys we mentioned for the Carolina Panthers and for Newcastle United, who are also going very well. It's a good start to the season.
Yeah. It's all right
For Newcastle as well. Let's talk about that trip first. You were out in Charlotte for the week 2 game against the Chargers, but you got up to loads of other great stuff while you were there in Carolina as well. Kind of give us a sense of how the trip was and kind of what you got up to.
Yeah, so it was the honeymoon, basically. So, yeah, we wanted to do it last year, but I think financially, it just made more sense to save up for a year and at least plan a little bit more. So put a bit more preparation into it over the past year. It was actually our first honeymoon on the Sunday before we went last Thursday. So it was 1 year and 4 days to the date of the wedding. So, yeah, we went over there. That was our honeymoon. Went to Charlotte, spent the week there. Just traveled around the Charlotte area, the outskirts and various other parts of North Carolina. Then we did go down to South Carolina just for the day. I wish I got to see a little bit more of it, but yeah, we got, as part of the package, we got a prepaid Uber down to Columbia, down to Williams-Brice Stadium for that game. Touch a little bit more upon that in a second. But yeah, it was a great trip, lot to do. Like, if you've ever been to America before, like any American city, it's just amazing. Like, just so much to do, so much to see, so much to eat, so much to drink. It's hard to fit it all into a week. Like, I had a list, like I say, we spent about a year planning it. So we had a list that would have taken about 7 months to attempt to complete. Like 7 days just was not enough. I put I've got it in the notes on my phone. And I put like the tick emoji next to everything that we're done. And it looks like we're done nothing because there's not a lot is ticks. Like, there was just there wasn't enough time to cram everything in. Because we had the Saturday and Sunday planned. Obviously, the Saturday was spent traveling to and from and during the game down there in Columbia. And Saturday was the Panthers game with the pre-arranged tailgate and partying with the fans afterwards. So the weekend was boxed off. Got there on the Thursday. Obviously, a lot of traveling, spent a lot of time. We were up at 3 o'clock in the morning for a 6 o'clock flight out of Newcastle to Heathrow. So yeah, we were tired on the Thursday, so didn't do much. Had a little walk around, went to check out Bank of America Stadium, as our hotel was just next to it. It was like less than a 2-minute walk just across the road. So it was brilliant positioning. The Friday was pretty similar. We just went, looked around, had done a little bit of shopping, came back and went to a baseball game. So the hotel was actually sandwiched in between Bank of America Stadium and Truist Field for the Charlotte Knights minor league baseball. So we went to check that out on the Friday night. That was amazing atmosphere. My first ever baseball game. Not a big baseball fan, but the atmosphere, I think, especially minor league, like they make it a little bit more like family friendly. It's just like fun. Like they put like activities and stuff on just to try and keep things entertaining, like during innings and whatnot. So yeah, it was really good fun. I really enjoyed that. Then yeah, the Saturday down there in South Carolina, big SAC matchup. South Carolina Gamecocks, LSU Tigers. That is different. Like, that atmosphere is just sensational. The one thing that I wish I could change about it is I wish it was a night game, because it was a midday kickoff. So with the lights and the display they put there down at Williams-Brice with the fireworks and everything, like, that is a stadium for night games. But it didn't take anything away from the atmosphere. It was LSU, huge game. It was a great game as well. I don't know if you've seen the highlights or the game itself, but it was a phenomenal game. Nothing really beats that. So then, Saturday, Sunday, we had the unfortunate events of having to watch the Carolina Panthers struggle on.
Good to go though, right? Like, first time there. So, and I've seen that they looked after you as well. Obviously, a bit of attendance for the first time. Yeah, so
it was I think it was the Friday night, just before we went into the baseball stadium. We were sat in a bar, just having a drink before we went in, and I got a DM, and it was the official Panthers Twitter page, just asking where our seats are, what we're doing, asking if I was making any content, doing any filming, vlogs, or anything like that. So I was having a bit of back and forth with whoever runs the social media page. And then, they came up during the game with a gift bag, just a little goodie bag full of just full of free stuff, probably about $100 worth of stuff from the gift shop there. So yeah, that was cool with a handwritten note as well. So thanking me for coming out, and I might actually have it. Okay, actually, I've got a few other stuff here. This was coincidental. I didn't actually have this prepared, but there's the Gamecocks towel that was given out. So you wave that above your head as you go. Got a baseball program. Got a Panthers towel. So that was included in the gift bag. I'm going to have to tidy all this up before my wife shouts at us. These were just given out outside the grounds. That was a flag. I pulled the handle off because I couldn't get it in the suitcase. Couple of lanyards and stickers, and then the handwritten note. So that's the handwritten note there, just saying thank you for coming to the game. Hope you enjoyed your time at Bank of America Stadium. Keep pounding. So that was cool to get that. It's like they didn't have to do that. It's like
it's just a nice
numerous other people. Oh, there's a wristband there as well. I forgot about the wristbands. Like I said, they didn't have to do that. Like there's fans all over the world. Like they're not just local based. So to give me that message on social media and then to actually follow through by coming up with a gift packet. That was cool. But yeah, I joke about the game being rubbish, although it's not a joke. It was true. But yeah, like it was my first time there, first time in Charlotte, first time at Bank of America Stadium. I've been a Panthers fan for 13 years now. So first time I was able to get out there. So yeah, just the game day atmosphere, just being there at an actual NFL ground, because I've only actually been to a London game. So to be at a home game, just the atmosphere, just being there, being a part of the Carolina Panthers, who I've loved and I've been addicted to for 13 years. Like it was just amazing just to be there and seeing Jake Delhomme came out to be the Keep Pounding drummer before the game. Then Jonathan Stewart came out, and they've done a lot of stuff like during it. Like there was quite a touching moment actually. There was a shooting in Charlotte a few months ago where a couple of the police officers got killed, and their family were there, and they'd done like a salute to them, and like everyone stood up, and it was really. I wasn't ready for that. I didn't go there for that. Like I wasn't ready. Like, I was up at the top. It was boiling hot. I was burnt to a crisp against in South Carolina. It was risky being there. Again, we're up at the top, no shade. Then they put something like that on. I'm trying not to cry. My face is red. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, the atmosphere just was amazing. But the only negatives were that it was a terrible game for the Panthers, and I got to see such a tremendous atmosphere at South Carolina the day before. Like nothing will beat that game. That was just so good. And again, because it's Carolina, and we were the worst team in the league last year, it wasn't a sellout, not like the Gamecock Stadium was. There was a lot of blue seats, a lot of empty seats, and even more as the fourth quarter went on. People were flooding out, and to be honest, if it wasn't my first game, I would have too. I actually considered leaving, but then I thought, this is my first game. I've flown all this way, spent all this money. I have to see it out. Even if we score a consolation touchdown, I need to be here to have seen it. So yeah, I couldn't leave. I had to be there right until the end. But yeah, terrible game, terrible performance, unfortunate loss. But yeah, it was worth it. And actually, it's funny. Like I don't know if I should actually go back to Carolina, because the Knights lost, the Gamecocks lost, and the Panthers lost.
Oh no!
Yeah, so all three games that I went to over the course of 3 days were lost every game. So yeah, maybe I shouldn't go back for a while.
Maybe not. But like I say, you were there. I say week 2. Like I say, he's great. And like I say, just a great touch. Like I say, there's a lot of bad stuff about how the Carolina Panthers are ran. However, that's just a really nice touch around, seeing that you were coming and just doing something, that little personal touch for such a, it's a multi-billion-dollar organization. And to do that, I think is really, really cool. And we had the LSU South Carolina game, was one of the college games that was on Sky Sports. So I was watching it. Yeah, and it was a fantastic game. So you couldn't, felt lucky with that being the same weekend, but tremendous game as well. So glad you got to kind of go and see a really, really cool game as well. Huge SEC game. So yeah, well pleased that you had a great trip, mate. And you may have seen the last ever Bryce Young start for the Carolina Panthers.
Maybe.
Possibly. You may have been there. Changed to Andy Dalton last week, and then they come out and absolutely beat the brakes off the Raiders. That giant smile on your face, that must have been plastered all over your face on Sunday evening watching that.
Yeah, I was trying not to get giddy, to be honest, because I think 3 of Dalton's passing touchdowns were all in the first half, and with each one, even with each play, every good chunk play that were made, we're not used to that. We haven't seen that in a long time. Like some consistent play, like big plays, like 15, 20, 25, 30 yards plus. Like we don't do that. So every big play, every touchdown, I was trying to contain myself because we scored the first one, then the Raiders bit back, and I thought that's the way this is going to go. Like, but then we went a little bit further ahead, and we had a field goal, so we kind of put that separation. And I was grinning ear to ear, but I was trying not to be. I was trying to think, this is the Panthers. Like, let's not get too carried away. But no, and we did kind of allow a couple of consolation touchdowns and kind of made it a closer game on the scoreboard than it needed to be, but it didn't feel it. We absolutely dominated. It was an absolute clean sweep, really. I wish we could have stayed stronger on defense for a little bit longer and kept their 22 points down, but it is what it is. We got the win, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, big win, and they were big. Raiders were heavy favourites. Everyone was on the Raiders, including us. Because you just kind of felt the Raiders had got that great win against Baltimore in week 2. Then followed it up with a strong performance at home against the Panthers. But yeah, certainly I didn't have that on my bingo card that Andy Dalton would be the first quarterback of the season to have 300-yard, 3-touchdown game. So yeah, and must have made such a difference to those kind of the other 52 players, or 51 except for Bryce, that they all of a sudden must feel like, well, with Andy Dalton playing, we've got a chance. We have a chance to win games now. Whereas I think that belief of being able to win with Bryce is just all but gone. And all of a sudden, everyone's just up a level or two and believes that they can win. So, yeah, the level of play just increases. And it was a full team win. Everybody, defense, offense, offensive line, all played really well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was refreshing. I say we've put up with some bad play for a long, long time now. And yeah, hopefully this is the kickstart. Like, I think you could tell that there was a difference, particularly on offense. Like, everyone just seemed comfortable. Like Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, like Chuba Hubbard had a huge game. A rookie Xavier Leggett only caught 2 passes, but they were big passes. Like, he ended up with 46 yards or something out of 2 passes. So yeah, it did just make a huge difference. And it's mad that the play calling didn't really seem to be that much different. Yeah. But there was just a lot more trust there. Like, you could trust the veteran, like Andy Dalton, he's been in the league for however many years now. Drafted in 2011, so it's at 13 years. This must be his 13th season. Like, he's a veteran guy, and that's why he was brought in the first place. He had to be Bryce's. Bryce was brought in to kind of be the understudy. That's why you have a veteran when you've got a rookie. So yeah, this should have happened last year. I think Dalton probably should have started last year, but it was just a mess. The whole organization in 2023 was just an absolute joke. Made some big changes in both the front office and coaching staff this offseason. So for me, this is kind of like Bryce's rookie season 2.0. That was the way that I was looking at it all offseason long. And it's just unfortunate that he played them 2 games and looked terrible because the offense were looking better. The offensive line, I'm keep saying people even up until prior to the Raiders game, even them first 2 games, the Saints and the Chargers, were lost and the offense was terrible. But people are still recycling old stuff, saying, we've got one of the worst offensive lines in football. They played well in them games. The receivers didn't do a whole lot. The whole route running wasn't great. But particularly in the Saints game, Bryce was massively overthrown Deontay Johnson. Johnson was getting open, which is why that's what he's brought in to do. So there could have been better play from the receivers with this outside of Johnson. But Bryce was the only bad thing, really. And I hate saying that because I've been Bryce's biggest defender all offseason. I've been saying he's the guy. Put the trust in him. It's a new coaching staff, got new offensive weapons, new offensive line. But Bryce was the weak link during them 2 games. And yeah, people need to look at 2024 as a different thing to 2023 because it's completely different. So forget about 2023's O-line. 2024, I think it's ranked the second best pass pass block. Sorry, let me get my words in. Second best pass block in the league. The upgrade is massive. The O-line is no longer the problem. We spent $153 million to fix it, and that doesn't always work. Money doesn't always speak, but in this case, it has. So we just need the quarterback play to be fixed. And it seemed like a miracle. Only 1 game. I thought it might have taken a little bit more to kind of get a rhythm going with Andy Dalton, but that's why he's there. That's why he's the veteran. That's why he was signed last year to be the either Bryce's like bridge guy or backup guy, veteran kind of helper guy, whatever he was brought in to do. This is what it's here for. So for me, hopefully this isn't the end of Bryce. Hopefully this is the beginning. As I feel like this is what should have happened in the train wreck last year. And I think Dave Canales is probably put in a bit of a difficult situation in the sense that he's not a rookie. So you kind of had to go with Bryce. Like, he is the number one guy. So he probably kind of felt put into a corner. Yeah. But he's smart and brave enough. It was a ballsy decision to drop him after only 2 games. But yeah, we'll put a lot of investment into Bryce, even more so with like the 153 million offensive line and drafting Xavier League and stuff. That was all for Bryce. That was all for the offense to kick on. So for me, I think keep Dalton in for as long as possible and just kind of keep the offensive momentum ticking. Get everybody on the same page, because they haven't been. Everyone's kind of been reading from a different script. Everyone needs to be on the same page. And once that's ticking, then maybe we can think about putting Bryce back in and just hope for the best. Like, I think he's only going to get one more chance. Like, if he needs another drop in, that's it. He's done for, really. So yeah, hopefully Dalton can keep it going for as long as possible. Hopefully we'll see Bryce again by the end of the season, and hopefully he picks up where Dalton may leave off, and then see how it goes for next year.
Yeah, it is a tough spot because, like you're right saying, like Canales can't kind of just give up on him completely, because of the investment in it. It's at this point kind of 18, 19 games to his career, wherever we're at, to just sort of say, right, like kind of that's it. So yeah, it is a tough situation. But you're right, we've got some solid quarterback play. Dalton won't lose you games. Like he's a solid veteran. He's not going to be the reason why the Carolina Panthers lose games. You're going to get decent play from him. So, and he gets to play his old team this week. He's up against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Panthers are 4.5-point underdogs. I mean, I don't know if I'm not there. I'm not quite there to say I really, really fancy them, but the Bengals are on the schneid at the minute. Kind of, they look like they've made progress and have taken a step back. They're 0-3. How are you feeling about the game on Sunday? Can the Panthers make it 2 in a row?
I'm a bit nervous by it, but of course I am, because I'm a Panthers fan, and I've been nervous for about 5 years every game that we play. But I am a huge Bengals fan. I really like Joe Burrow. I like Jamar Chase. I like everything that they've been kind of gelling together since Dalton left. Like 2019 was Dalton's last year. Drafted Joe Burrow number 1 overall in 2020. And since then, they've pushed on. Obviously, went to the Super Bowl in 21 in only Burrow's second year, Jamar Chase's rookie year. But I think since then, like, they kind of put themselves on a bit of a pedestal, and like everyone thinks that they're going to be the best team in the league. And for me, I've kind of held them on that pedestal. I hold them in very, very high regards. I think particularly in the AFC, they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams, in my opinion, but they've been very inconsistent. Was it the beginning of last season, or was it the season before where they started quite roughly?
They seem to every year. Like, they've been 0-2 in 4 of the 5 years that Burrow's been there. Yeah,
so I don't know. Like, I still hold the Bengals in very high regard. I know that 0-3, only 2 teams to beat. Or is it 3? 3 teams that are currently 0-2. But now this isn't the Bengals for me. I think they will kick on. Like as you've just said, they've started badly in each of the last few years. So they'll come good. They've had 3 poor games, but at the same time, they've been close. Like even the Chiefs, they only lost by a single point to the Chiefs, and that was a bad officials' decision, as every Chiefs win is seemingly this day and age. But the one thing that you've kind of got to say is even last night, the Commanders, they put up 33 points. There's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong is they conceded 28 points to the Washington Commanders. That's not a good look. Like, I know Jaden Daniels had a phenomenal game, so can't take anything away from Daniels, but on the whole, the Commanders aren't a great team, I think, particularly on offense. And they allowed 38 points against them. Yes, you scored 33. Great. But you still lost the game. But the big weak link was week 1. You lost 16-10 to the Patriots. That's not a good look. That's terrible. So, yeah, I don't know what Bengals team's going to come to Carolina. Like I say, they can be one of the best teams in the league, or as of right now, with the Patriots and Commanders losses, they're looking like one of the worst teams in the league. So I have no idea how to play this. Like, hopefully this is a good time to catch them. If you asked me, if this was week 1 or preseason, I would have slapped this down as a loss all day long, and I wouldn't have even needed to think twice about it. Like, on paper, we should be dismantled by the Bengals. Like, we are the underdogs, and I respect that. I appreciate that. We are. I believe we are. Absolutely. But yeah, like, well, they're 0-3, and we've just kind of come off of a huge win, a huge offensive performance, something that we've been craving for years. While momentum's high, this could be a brilliant time, and maybe we won't be as underdoggy as people think that we will be.
Yeah, I think like there's that piece here where the Bengals, this is a 17-game season at the end of the day, but if they start, this is a team that've got Super Bowl aspirations. If they go 0-4, it's done. There's no way they're coming back from 0-4 to a championship. At that point, you're looking at, can we get a wild card spot and sneak in the playoffs? Because they're already 3 games behind Pittsburgh for the division, so it's huge for the Bengals. And is this one where just everything comes together and the Panthers are sadly on the end of it? Or do the struggles continue and the Panthers take advantage of it? I mean, the defense normally for the Bengals is pretty solid. It just disappeared on Monday night. They were on the end of possibly one of the all-time great rookie quarterback individual game performances, because Jaden Daniels was unreal. I think highest completion percentage on so many attempts for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I've seen that stat,
like, you might have just got struck like, a little history performance there. Maybe sometimes you can't do a lot about it, but I don't know. This is huge for the Bengals, and maybe the Panthers can take advantage of that desperation that the Bengals might have. But it should be a good one and an interesting one, and certainly they've got a chance with the way Dalton's playing. Okay, you're going to take part in our FourFold challenge.
I am.
Love this. It's my favourite part of the week. This one, I guess does the FourFold challenge. So far, we've been useless at them. So hopefully, we've not hit yet this season, but we will do at some point, I'm sure. But you're gonna take on the challenge this week for us. So it's 1 favourite, 1 underdog, 1 points over, 1 points under from the slate this week. Let's start with your favourite, Keg. Who is it you fancy, and which favourite do you fancy to get the job done this week?
I'm having a look through them, and it's a bit of a weird schedule, to be fair. Like, it's a very mixed bag. Like, I know, like, as we say, like, we're only 3 weeks in. It's hard to tell, really. Like I say, the Bengals could be 0-3, but still make the playoffs. Like, it's very early to decide. But when you have a look around, there's some very even matchups. Like, there's 2 that stand out. One of them's the Cowboys and Giants, just because the Giants aren't great, but had a pretty good week on Sunday, while the Cowboys were terrible. So big divisional matchup might not be as much as a Cowboys demolition as people might think. You got the Bengals Panthers, that could be quite even. Broncos Jets, I'd fancy the Jets, but again, that's unsure. I'd fancy the Texans over the Jags. Rams Bears looks like a terrible game. Packers Vikings could be a good game, but again, quite even. Falcons Saints, Eagles Bucks, Steelers Colts, I'm not too sure about. Then this is the one I'm going to go for, so I'll skip on that and go to the others. But like Commanders and Cardinals could be an even game as well. Browns Raiders, I think these are all so very similar. Like, I've got no idea how to call it. I'd fancy the Chiefs to beat the Chargers. Bills and Ravens, I think, will be a very good game. Titans Dolphins could be interesting, because that's the one where on paper you would say that the Dolphins would smash it, but they're having a bit of a tough time without Tua as well, so that might be a bit of a close game. And Lions Seahawks, like, that could be a quite interesting game, because the Seahawks have started quite well. So the one that I'm going to go for, I think the one that stands out the most to me is 49ers to take the Patriots. And again, the 49ers haven't been great this season without McCaffrey. And I think Purdy's struggled a little bit as well. Big money receiver. Ayuk, he's done out. Deebo Samuel's been injured as well. So they haven't been great, the 49ers, but I really don't rate the Patriots. So I think if people can kind of come together, if Purdy and Ayuk can have a good day, then I think this should be an easy win.
Yeah, kind of the Patriots looked a bit kind of like frisky the first couple of weeks as they got the win against the Bengals, and then they pushed the Seahawks, who's looked pretty good, to overtime. Kind of fell apart a little bit on Thursday Night Football last week. They kind of went to the Jets and got a bit of a spanking. So yeah, I mean, the Niners might have a couple of their injuries back, and they lost a close one to the Rams. But yeah, Niners are 10-point favorites. It's, you think at home, that's kind of the game they need to get back on track after two losses to the Vikings and to the Rams. So yeah, like that pick. Yeah, Niners as the favourites against the Patriots. Who do you like to cause an upset this week, Keg? Who's your underdog?
Well, as we've gone through, there's quite a few that you could say, like, again, a lot of even matchups. It is difficult to take. But I'm going to go with Carolina. Just because I feel like like I say, the Bengals are 0-3, one of only 3 teams to be so. And a couple of dodgy losses, like the Patriots and Commanders, as we've mentioned. But on paper, the Bengals are the better team, without a doubt. Like, once they get kicking, they could absolutely smash Carolina without hesitation. Like, I think it could be quite an easy walkover for them if they pull their finger out. But that's kind of been their problem. Like, they haven't really been pulling the finger out this season. And well, the Panthers are on good momentum with Andy Dalton, a good quarterback change. Like, as long as Deontay Johnson's firing and get a couple like Xavier Leggett coming in. Adam Thielen just went on IR this afternoon, so he's going to miss the game.
Yeah, that's the shame. It was such a good catch that he got hurt on as well.
Yeah, God, it was. It was an amazing touchdown.
He seems to hurt like his shoulder, he's pulled his he's torn his hamstring. He hurt everything on that catch. It was such a good catch.
Yeah. So yeah, the others, I'd maybe like I said, the Giants could cause an upset against the Cowboys, but I can't see it. Who else is an underdog? Like I said, the games are so even. Chargers against the Chiefs, maybe. Yeah, or Titans against the Dolphins. I think they're the only ones that I could see an upset in. But no, I think Carolina's got the best chance of causing the upset against the Bengals.
Yeah, Carolina, as we've mentioned, 4.5-point underdogs against the Cincinnati Bengals. Excellent. A lot of low totals this week in terms of points. Scoring has been down across the NFL through the first 3 weeks this season. Where do you think there's going to be a struggle for points this week? Where's your under? Which game are we going to see hit the under, Keg?
Yeah, I was scrolling through this for a little while as well, trying to pick one out because it's a difficult one to call. A few stood out, but I'm not overly sure which ones it is. I think the one that stood out for me the most, actually, I was going to go for the Broncos Jets at 38.5 under, but it is quite a low tally. So that was 2 with higher tallies that I fancied more. One was the Jags and Texans under 45. But the one I'm going to go for is Cowboys Giants. Just because I think both have struggled really so far this season. The Giants, particularly on offense, I know they've done really well. Malik Neighbors had a cracking game at the weekend, but I think 40. He's amazing. Yeah, he's very, very good. I just wish he was at a better team with a better quarterback. Imagine the damage he could do. But yeah, I'm just not too sure about this one. I think 45 is quite high. If Malik Neighbors can have a great game, the Giants can put points on the board. And the Cowboys are a good team, so you get Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb on fire. They can quite easily score 20, 30 points themselves. So I'm not confident on this one, but I think that's the game that kind of sticks out for me the most.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. Kind of the Cowboys own the Giants, and typically they've just stopped them from scoring full stop. There's, I think it's 3 or 4 in the last so many meetings where the Cowboys have blanked the Giants, not even allowed them to score. So I think that's a fair point. And the Cowboys are struggling, well, full stop, but offensively in particular, they're really struggling, especially when they get to kind of the red zone inside the 20. They just don't really seem to be able to put the ball in for a touchdown. So I think that's a really good shout. 45 to me feels like a lot of points for that game. So yeah. I like the pick there. Cowboys Giants for the under. And where do you think the over's going to hit then? Where do you see foresee there being potentially a lot of points? Although there's a lot of low numbers that you can hit an over.
Yeah, there is, isn't there? So yeah, one that was kind of a standout, I think, was over 39.5 was the 49ers Patriots. And that could only be because probably the 49ers are going to score the majority of those.
Yeah.
So that's why that one stood out. But I think the one I'm going to go for, which I think is pretty good, to be fair, 39.0, I'll go for the Chiefs and Chargers. Because you can never rule out the Chiefs as long as you got Patrick Mahomes. They can always score points. And the Chargers are pretty good as well. Like, I've seen that firsthand. I know Carolina were terrible against them, but they've got the ability to put points up on the board. Like Justin Herbert's a good quarterback. So, yeah, I think that could be an interesting game. That with a lot of points, and at 39, it's not a bad shout.
Yeah, I think the line might be on that. Justin Herbert came out injured, and who was it? Taylor Heineke had to play for a bit on Sunday. So I don't know if kind of it's leaning towards. And it's still early in the week. We're recording this on Tuesday. It's very early for us to be looking at these numbers. But yeah, there must be some serious thought that Herbert might not be playing, which is why that number's low. And both tackles got hurt as well. I think they'll both play, but that's obviously your starting quarterback and your two tackles banged up is a real rough place to be. But yeah, the Chiefs could go off. I mean, we've seen it in fits and spurts. And and I love that match. I think that could be a real good game this week. Kind of the first time Jim Harbaugh goes up against the Chiefs or the Chargers. So very interested in that one. But yeah, you've always got a chance. When a total's low like that to hit the over, you've always got a shot. So yeah, I like your FourFold this week, Keg. Yeah. Niners -10, Panthers underdogs getting a 4.5 start. Chargers, Chiefs over 39, and Cowboys, Giants under 45. Hopefully, you can break the duck that we're currently on Peg at the minute because we're struggling with this, but we're going to get there.
Yeah, I can't remember what I think. I think I done quite well last year. I remember coming on this time last year. I think that was the one I done with Byron actually. But yeah, I think I done quite well. I can't remember. I think I might have had like 3 out of 4 of them, but yeah. I'm not sure about this one.
So far.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's still so early in the season. It's hard to tell, and especially with so many like even matchups on paper, it's a really difficult week this week.
Yeah. I think like once somebody hits one, we'll get rolling. They'll start coming in bunches then. So, but Keg, thanks ever so much for jumping on, buddy. It's always great to have you on Good Teams with great teams cover. Go check out Keg's channels, Panthers Magpies. Go check out the Magpie channel as well. And yeah, best luck for the rest of the season with Carolina and with Newcastle as well. But yeah, hopefully Carolina can rack up a few more wins and make those Sundays a bit more of a happier evening than they've been recently for the Panthers.
Yeah, hopefully so. Yeah, it's been a bit of a bleak time, but yeah, I didn't predict many wins this season. Like me floor was 4. I think I'd be absolutely buzzing if we got 6 or 7 because I felt that was unrealistic. But with Andy Dalton, it could be possible. So yeah, fingers crossed we can tip over that 4-5 mark, and I'll be happy. You'll just take it. It is what it is. But no, thank you very much for having me on. Appreciate it. As I said before, always happy to come on and have a chat. So yeah, thank you for having me on again.
No worries. Cheers, Keg. We're going to carry on our episode with our preview. We're going to preview the 2 Sky Sports games, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and also do the rest of our FourFold challenge. So we'll see if we can hit it, and our ATS picks. Plus a look at Fantasy Gameday as well. So plenty still to come. So please stick around. Thanks to Keg there. Always a fantastic guest for us here. So go give the Panthers Magpie channel a follow. You certainly should be doing if you're a fan of the Carolina Panthers. And also if you're a fan of Newcastle United, Keg does some fantastic content on the Toon Army as well. We're back for the rest of our show. Byron, we've got some great games.
Yeah.
Let's get into them. We're going to preview the 2 Sky Sports games before we then do Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. Doubleheader, Monday Night Football again. Don't we love that? First up, though, we've got NFC North clash. Vikings, Packers. Should be a good one, this one. The Vikings are 2.5-point underdogs.
Yeah, I'm expecting Jordan Love back, which I think is playing into that market. I mean, shout out Malik Willis has been great. But I do think the Vikings would probably be favoured if Malik Willis was expected to start. Or it would certainly be a push-em game rather than a 2.5-point one, I dare say. Yeah, I mean, the Vikings are probably... It's been a wild NFL season so far already, but I think the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell are probably the story of the season so far. Sam Darnold, most passing touchdowns in the league so far, looking like a, top 3 overall pick that he was drafted as. So, yeah, as we see here on my betting, if you're on our YouTube here, I went for Jordan Addison anytime touchdown, which kind of influences what I think. Is Jordan Addison going to be back for this game or not? Yes, I think he's going back for this game. I think they've been patient with him. I think they've held him out as long as they should, really. I don't think they've rushed him back. Jalen Naylor's ascendancy has really helped them with that. But Jordan Addison is a difference maker. He takes the top off defenses like few others in the NFL, truthfully, in this day and age. I know it's been a bit of an issue around the league. he's been able to take the top off defenses this year. A lot of people talking about the cover 2 stuff, the high safeties, reducing scoring. But Kevin O'Connell doesn't seem to have too much issue with it, nor does Sam Darnold. So, I think this is such a great matchup. You've gone Packers 2.5, so you're confident Jordan Love's back, and you're confident that. I mean, this might be. It feels a little strange saying it about Matt LaFleur when the Packers have been really good under his reign period, but this could well be 2 of the Coach of the Year candidates through 3 games going head to head.
For sure. Kevin O'Connell, we mentioned the other day, is the favourite. It's plus 320, so just over 3-1 currently. And it's all feeding in for me as to why I'm on the Packers. So there's a lot of momentum around the Vikings. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of backslapping, a lot of bandwagon jumping on the Vikings. So give me the Packers. That's kind of where I'm at on this one. Jordan Love looks like he's going to be back. And I think, Packers by a field goal, I'm happy with in this one. Vikings have been playing excellent football. Let's not get that lost at all. You mentioned Darnold is playing great. That defense, Brian Flores has got that defense flying around. So difficult to kind of plan for and scheme for, but I think Matt LaFleur can. So I'm going to, take the side of LaFleur and the Packers on this one. Love back. The Packers are moving the ball pretty well on the ground. Defense is pretty good. I think that Packers defense can give the Vikings some problems and Darnold some problems. So Packers minus 2.5 for me. It's a big one. It's a divisional one. If this NFC North is going to be tight, then this is a huge game, and I'm going to take the Packers to win it. Vikings are pretty good on the road. 6-1-3. 6-1-3. 3 pushes in the last 10 on the road, but pretty good at covering on the road. However, as a road underdog, they're not great. 5-15 straight up in their last 20 as a road underdog. Packers strong at home, 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 home games. That's why I'm going to take the Packers.
It's tough to argue. If Jordan Love is back, I have taken the Vikings on our spread, but I think a lot of it is how good they have looked on offense so far. And like you said, that Brian Flores defense, I did have it up a moment ago. What is it? They're blitzing at the second highest rate in the NFL, which it's what Brian Flores does, but it's nearly 40%, 39.3%. And I just wonder, like, Jordan Love, freshly back, we don't know quite how his mobility will be. Is that going to be an issue for him? Like I say, I think it's not one I'm going to bet the line on, I don't think. I am taking the Vikings on that ATS, though. And, shout out Jordan, who absolutely smashed, to be fair, last weekend's betting slate. I don't think we listed every single one of them that he won, but he had a good weekend, topped off with Monday Night Football. But he's got Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs getting touchdown anytime, plus 240. Aaron Jones' revenge game, although he put a really nice thing out today on the Players Tribune. Not quite Malik Willis. It's not a revenge game, but like he talked about how Green Bay will always be in his heart and loves the place, etc., etc. So I don't think it's as much of a revenge game as I would like it to be. I like them spitting at each other and all the rest of it. Robert Tonyan revenge game. I think he's going to be active for this. And Josh Jacobs been running really well. I know Emmanuel Wilson had a big game last week as well, but I think that was just a case of spelling Josh Jacobs when the game's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So both should come into this one fresh and well. I think that's a really nice pick by Joe, plus 240 there. Yeah,
Joe's on fire as well, not to mention. So a couple of big bets he cast last week. He had Jamar Chase, 2+ touchdowns on Monday Night Football at 13-2 or plus 650. Mm-hmm. He had Saquon Barkley, 2+ touchdowns as well. He hit his parlay, which I think was Ravens, Chiefs, and it was Ravens, Chiefs, and Colts. Ravens, Chiefs, and Seahawks.
Oh, well, Seahawks were give me. Yeah.
Seahawks, Ravens, Chiefs at just short of 6-1 as well. He hit his 2 unders. So, he's on fire. He's the man to track out the 3 of us at the minute, certainly, Joe. So, long may it continue. Always nice to see somebody bashing the bookies. I think this will be a real good game. Good choice from Sky as well, I think, in the early game. I think it was, I kind of thought we were going to get Eagles Bucks because it was because Brady's on it, because that seemed to be the trend in the first 3 weeks of the season, that the Brady game had been picked by Sky Sports. But good call on this one. I think the right game from the early slate. Into the late slate, I don't think there's any surprises. This was the one that was picked by Sky Sports. Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. Harbaugh going up against the Chiefs for the first time for the Chargers. But the Chargers are real banged up.
Yeah.
The line's 8.5 on this one. Over-under's 39. I'm worried for the Chargers. Are the Chargers too soft to take on this Harbaugh style of football? Is that why we're seeing them drop like flies? Or is this just the case, as it always is with the Chargers, that they just get real injured?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really think it's a Harbaugh thing at this point. It is just the Chargers going to charge it. And I mean, they're also down Derwin James through suspension for yet another helmet-to-helmet hit. The Chargers aren't happy with it, but he's not really a player I think of as a dirty player, Derwin James, but he has had his fair few of incidents over the years. So, eventually the league has to come down on it, which is absolutely right. So, yeah, it's just another big player that they're down for this game. I imagine this line might move a couple of points if Justin Herbert is declared fit and well. It might become more of a 6-pointer, would be my guess. But I don't have any confidence that Justin Herbert's going to look good if he does play. He looked very limited on Sunday, and he said Saturday, against the Steelers. And if he can't go there, you are effed. My bet for this game is Chargers have a fumble at plus 120. I must say, that's not really a market I'd look to explore usually. But we are recording early. We are recording before injury news is breaking a lot. And DraftKings didn't have any markets over that I wanted. There was no rushing markets, no receiving markets, no touchdown markets. So it made it tough to pick a line here. I've taken the Chiefs in the ATS. Again, I don't know if I feel as confident to bet the line at this point. If you told me it's going to be Tyler Heineke, I probably would be pretty happy taking it because I think you might get a touchdown just based on Tyler Heineke for the Chiefs. Yeah, I just don't think it's a good matchup for the Chargers, really. They want to run, but the Chiefs linebackers have been playing really well this year. You've got Chris Jones, obviously, and Carl After setting the edge. I don't really think there's much of an avenue with Justin Herbert as he is. I was going to say a fully fit Justin Herbert. I'm not sure you get to 21 points on this Chiefs defense. And I think it might just be a case of, do the Chiefs want to win by 10? Or what, we touched on it on our review show. It's kind of one of my things was, about, we're not a fantasy show, but we do touch on it a lot. Patrick Mahomes is not really an elite fantasy quarterback anymore. And on the back of that, I was looking since Christmas 2022, Patrick Mahomes had one 30-point game. 30 points is a lot for a fantasy quarterback, but Jane Daniels had 2 this year, for example. In the equivalent amount of games, because he missed some time with injury, Daniel Jones had 3. Patrick Mahomes has had 1. He's just kind of, and that's fine. He's not a fantasy quarterback. He's the best quarterback in the league. But that doesn't mean that you're going to put up a lot of points. And the Chiefs seem very happy to just win games, which they should be. That's their job. Their job isn't to please fantasy football players. But I just think that might be playing into my kind of hesitation of backing the Chiefs at minus big points. Because I think they'll win the game, obviously. But and I have picked them on the ATS. I just probably won't bet it because I think there's just a thing where they're up by 4 points and they just run the clock. And are really happy with that, then kick a field goal, go up 7, knowing that the Chargers aren't going to go down the field and beat them.
It's a big number for sure. We've not seen these be covered by favourites so far.
Yeah, it's a wild season.
Yeah, my worry for the Chargers is whether Justin Herbert plays or not, you're potentially missing the 2 tackles.
Yeah.
And that you miss to take those 2 tackles out of that offensive line. Yeah, you're struggling. Joel, who's been pretty impressive so far, came out of the game with the MCL sprain.
Yep.
It's terrible for injury for a left tackle.
Yep.
He's expected to miss the game, according to Schefter. Rashawn Slater came out with a pec injury.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Herbert's ankle injury. Harbaugh said earlier today that went for an MRI on Monday and that the quarterback is progressing, which doesn't sound particularly enthusiastic. He mentioned Derwin James as well, already missing from that defense. I think it might still end up being quite low scoring, but I like the Chiefs with the 8.5. I think it's moved, it's bounced around to 8. I expect that'll start going the other way over the next few days heading into the weekend. And ultimately the Chiefs own the Chargers as well in Los Angeles / San Diego. Chiefs are 17-3 straight up and 12-8 against the spread in the last 20 meetings versus the Chargers. They've won 10 in a row on the road at the Chargers. So in San Diego and Los Angeles, going 8-2 against the spread in that. Chiefs been pretty good on the road as well. Won the last 5 road games, going 4-1 against the spread. And the Chargers as a home underdog suck. They're 3-17 straight up and 6-14 against the spread. I mean, everything says the Chiefs are going to win and win this comfortably, but I guess obviously you never know in the NFL. Any given Sunday, I'm struggling to see anything but a comfortable Chiefs win here.
Yeah, and you mentioned those injuries. I mean, that's I would dare say that's your three cornerstones of your franchise. Those two tackles and Justin Herbert. Are the Chargers in we need to rush them back territory? I don't think so. So yeah, I would lean on sitting them if I'm Jim Harbaugh. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, I am not though very much, not for my sins. So yeah, I think it's a good line to sit them and rest them and get them back to full strength, because the Chargers season isn't going to be defined on winning against the Chiefs, which they're probably not going to do with their full strength, truthfully, let's be fair. So yeah, thinking more about that injury report you pointed out there, I am probably more confident in the Chiefs 8.5. And could be a fun one to watch on that Chiefs defense going wild. Joe is not invested in Travis Kelce's wash narrative. He's going over 50 receiving yards for Travis Kelce at plus 115. And I think that speaks to how much the narrative is really taking hold, because I don't think you'd go over 50 yards at plus money anytime recently for Travis Kelce. I mean, you probably, I don't know when you'd have to go back to get that as a plus line. That feels like a real nice one. Just hits a couple of catches. And he has obviously had some moments of looking bad, but he's had a few where he's just dropped it and he'd have been getting on for, 30 yards on one catch. So in a game like this, I wouldn't be stunned to see Mahomes make an effort to try and get him going.
Yeah, seems like a real good opportunity. And it's been quiet for 3 weeks. Certainly don't expect that to be the case all the way through the season. But yeah, plus money on Travis Kelce seems a good bet to me. That's the Sky Games. Let's have a chat around the primetime game. Sunday Night Football is a cracker. The Buffalo Bills against the Baltimore Ravens. Again, one that we'll potentially see in January in the playoffs. The Bills are 2.5-point underdogs. Baltimore, the over-under's 46.5. This is going to be great. Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson, prime time. This one's going to deliver. We're going to have a great Sunday Night Football, surely.
Surely. I don't know how you're not going to. And there's going to be a narrative coming out of it regardless. Again, you can't have the Bills the best team in the AFC so far this season? Or certainly look like it, I would dare say.
Been the most impressive, I'd say, through 3 weeks.
Yeah, and I was down on them coming into the season. I thought they'd be having a bit of a rebuild year, but I guess I can't remember who I heard say it this week on another podcast, but it might be Evan Silver actually established a run of you don't rebuild when you have Josh Allen. It's like, yeah, that makes absolute sense. Of course you don't. And again, credit to Joe Brady, because he came in, towards the end of last season, and it's just like, he's just making them run. It's just like a change was good, but like it doesn't seem to be doing much impressive. And like that offense is really ticking now. James Cook is really cooking. Pun not necessarily intended there. And Khalil Shakir, he just needs more work. He looks so impressive. He might be one of my kind of like, I don't know if I got much of him in fantasy. I've got him in quite a few dynasty leagues, but I don't have much of him in like our redraft leagues. He just looks so impressive. Every time he gets the ball, he looks like he's going to make a man miss and get a first down. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Khalil Shakir. Dalton Kincaid hasn't got going really so much yet, but I think that's probably just going to come with time. Tight ends have had a rough start to this year, kind of across the board. I was a little surprised to see the Bills were 2.5-point underdogs. You've backed them at 2.5 points as your bet here, so I'm guessing you feel slightly similar.
Yeah, I'm just like, obviously the Ravens had put in a good performance last week against the Cowboys. However, again, it's that caveat in wins over the Cowboys. That defense,
the Cowboys.
Yeah, that defense is awful and cannot stop the run. The Bills, I think, are going to certainly put up a lot, more resistance. Ravens are great at home, but I think it's a really, really good matchup. Bills have got a pretty poor record recently against the Ravens as well. I think this could be a time for that to start to change. I took the Bills as an underdog against the Dolphins the other week when I thought it was ridiculous that they were the underdog. I don't think it's quite as ridiculous that they're 2.5-point underdogs here because of how strong the Ravens are, and the Ravens are at home. But yeah, give me Josh Allen and 2.5 points. Yeah, I'm going to take that. Should be potentially quite a tight one. 5 of the last 6 meetings between these two have hit the under. The Ravens have won 5 of the last 6 meetings in Baltimore, but the Bills have been recently good on the road. They've won the last 4 road games. So It's a good matchup. It's a tight one, but I'm going to take the Bills and the points. Would have loved it to be 3, but 2.5 is what we'll sit with. I thought genuinely on Monday that was the best half. That first half was I think that's the best I've seen Josh Allen play, which is might say a lot given kind of what he's done in the league. But he was just fully in control of everything. And Jacksonville have been poor, but they just beat up on them. They really did. Whether his decisions to keep the ball and run it, the passes he was picking, the decision making with his passes, I just thought it was fantastic. And I think he might have got Kincaid going a little bit. He got John Coleman a touchdown. Shakir looked good. James Cook looked good. Yeah, it feels like everything's just a bit freer in Buffalo now.
It really does, yeah.
Without Stephon Diggs. And
and I know we like to dive into our historical facts, etc. 1-5, I think you said, in the last 6 going to Baltimore. The one, though, is the only one that was in the Josh Allen era. The pre-5 were, I think the most recent was Tyrod Taylor, and then after that it's like 2016 and beyond. So if you look at it as in Josh Allen era, the 1-0 in Baltimore. Again, this might be one I bet the line on because I think the Bills have been so impressive. I was down on the Bills coming this season. I was also down on the Ravens. That O-line hasn't filled me with joy, and it hasn't filled me with joy this season. And I do still think they have defensive issues. Dallas are a good offense still, despite my negativity towards Dallas. And Dallas put up points on them, but they've done it really easily in the second half, fourth quarter. And I know that's a bit garbage timey until it wasn't. But the fact is, it got to the point of it wasn't, despite dominating the first half of that game and letting it get to that point. I think this could be a real marker for Buffalo, where they just come in and, I don't want to say lay a beating on the Ravens, but I think this could, the way they're playing right now, I just think they could put up points more than any team in the NFL, probably, against kind of whoever they want. I know the opponents thus far haven't really been the example of that. The Dolphins were very poor. The Jags look like a team lost at sea, but they did come in and absolutely stink them on. They just absolutely battered them, we're trying to be too, nice about it. I've gone James Cook over 100 rushing and receiving yards, plus 285. He is, again, I'm using the word cooking, not necessarily a pun. He's just rocking and rolling. He looks like his brother, when he was good, not like the Dalvin Cook we have in Dallas. And I used to love watching Dalvin Cook play, and I love watching James Cook play now. I felt last year he looked a bit lightweight, and much more of a receiving back than a running back. Now he looks like a all-round 3-down back who can score from anywhere, can bring balls in, can do the complicated routes. He's a player I didn't get much of in fantasy because I'm always worried about Josh Allen just going to take everything himself, and that's still obviously an issue to some degree. But when you're putting up 40 points a game, it doesn't matter that much. You're going to get yours. I think this is a great bet, 285. I don't like the Ravens' defense this year. I think there's a lot of issues. I think you can run on them, and I think you can pass on them. So it doesn't bode well when Josh Allen does both really well, when James Cook does both really well, Shakir does both really well, and then you have Kincaid, you've got Knox, you've got Keon Coleman, you've got Mac Hollins as he's never going to be a wide receiver 1, but he's been a really, really useful role player thus far. I just like James Cook to keep on going in this game. I don't think they need to do anything too complicated. I think they're better 1-22 than the Ravens are. I kind of think, I might be coming out of this one looking at the FC North, just going, man, are the Pittsburgh Steelers just going to walk the FC North this year and nobody's going to come in?
And it could be the case, where they're positioned. And like I said, I think it was so important last week for the Ravens to get the win because they had a couple of even more tough games, and that turned, was probably going to look back and it'd be like Cowboys one would be the softest of that tough run that they had. Yeah. So they needed the win on the board. So I think, if they do lose here and go 1-3, I think they're still in it. It's not the end of the world. They can go on a run. But I just want to shout out Joe's bet. I think this is a cracking bet, and I've had to check this 3 times. I can't believe the price on it. Jackson and Josh Allen touchdowns, anytime touchdowns, plus 425. I think it's an outstanding bet.
Yeah, I mean, the only issue is that Lamar doesn't get as many touchdowns as he should. But in a game like this, I think he might prioritize him keeping the ball a little more because it is such a big game. I think he has kind of tendencies for that in the biggest games. He will push himself a little further. And I think the trickeration, seemed to ice the game against the Cowboys where it goes in Zay Flowers' gut, and then before you know it's out of Zay Flowers, and he runs for his, first down to ice the game. Yeah, I think this is a really solid one. Again, you get 9-2 basically on Lamar and Josh. I mean, Josh Allen, you can basically put as a -180 to score a touchdown. It feels like he just gets one every week. So really, you're getting +400 on Lamar Jackson touchdown. It feels like so. Yeah, I think this is a really smart bet too.
Yeah, love this. Joe's on a hot streak at the minute, as we've mentioned. But yeah, +45, I just think is fantastic value for those two. Into Monday, another doubleheader. We love Monday Night Football doubleheaders. Yay. We've got one great game and one is likely going to be an absolute stinker. We'll start with the stinker first. Tennessee Titans at Miami Dolphins. The Tennessee Titans are 1-point favorites. Over-under's 36.5. Yeah, looks like we're going to get a Tyler Huntley game. I think obviously Skylar Thompson, bless him, got banged up again last week.
Yeah.
He's not it. Don't think it's going to be Tim Boyle, who... career third-string quarterback. He must be such a nice guy. Everyone just loves having him around, clearly.
Yeah.
Never out of a job, is he? And then, I think it's going to be Tyler Huntley. And with the extra playing Monday, the extra day, I don't know. But where are we at with this one? I can't trust that the Tennessee Titans are a favorite. I just
Yeah, I struggle with it. I picked the Titans in our ATS. Just a lot of it really is based on what we're seeing against Seahawks on Sunday with the Dolphins. They had their little moments of getting down the field, but like they don't really look like an NFL franchise without Tua, and that is really damning because Tua's injury prone and he's going to be out for a few weeks. And I know, people come out with these quotes of like back in the day, the Peyton Manning one of like, we don't practice the backup quarterbacks. So if 18's down, we're fucked and we don't practice fucked. Well, you probably should. I know it's a great statement and it works because Peyton Manning and he won a lot of things. Well, he won one Super Bowl in Indianapolis. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, I guess. But Peyton Manning also didn't miss many games until he did. So, yeah, I really struggle with this. And I think Mike McDaniel really needs a kind of like I am still the man kind of game. And to do that, you need to do it without Tua because you don't have Tua. We're not playing the, ifs and buts games. He's not there. I think Tyler Huntley, kind of sight unseen, is an improvement on Skylar Thompson because I've seen him have competent games in Baltimore. I've seen him be limited. I've been to like 5 NFL games maybe in my life, and one of them was Tyler Huntley. It was meant to be Lamar Jackson. It was absolutely heartbreaking that it wasn't because I love Lamar Jackson. He got ruled out on the morning of the game. Total bummer. Anyway, but he's not a good NFL quarterback, obviously. He's a Pro Bowl quarterback somehow, but I really worry for Miami that this is just a completely lost season. Like I said, I have picked the Titans on the ATS. Kind of that is like the Titans, I don't think should be an 0-4 team. They should have beat the Bears already, to be fair. And if Will Levis would just keep hold of the football, they would be a 1-3 team. There might be a 2-2 team after this. A 1-2, sorry.
So many weeks have gone by, it's hard to do the maths.
Well, I'm kind of doing it in my head that they won't be an 0-4 team. So I'm like, well, so I've got 4 games in. That's easy. And yeah, what I kind of worry about for the Dolphins is that front of the Titans defense is just going to get at Huntley so quickly that Huntley's going to be running.
Yeah.
And I don't think that lends itself to good production for Tyreek Hill or Jameer Gibbs on our screen here. Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. Ideally, they get Devon Achane and get him at least 16 looks, touches, catches, what have you, to try and keep that defense a little more honest. But that O-line doesn't look great for the Dolphins. It's always a kind of 1 week to the next how it does look because they seem to get banged up there with the Chargers, the Dolphins. I don't know whether it's just sunny weather, people get softer. I'm pretty sure that isn't it. It's just a coincidence. But I'm not sure what it is. But I just feel the Titans are kind of more due a win than the Dolphins. And I know the Dolphins feel like they're due a win as well, but they don't have the starting quarterback. The Titans they have Will Levis. So he is technically their starting quarterback. And again, this was one I struggled to find a market on. Again, because I haven't named their quarterback yet. The Dolphins, there's no rushing receiving touchdown markets available when I was looking to put our sheet together. So I've just gone with a safety to be scored because both these quarterbacks can do inane things. And especially that Dolphins O-line is going to have issues. Will Levis could do anything. Will Levis could end up punting the ball over his own end zone. So he could just get a safety out of he forgot what he was doing. Huntley could get one through, Jeffrey Simmons is sitting on top of him all game. So 800 to see a safety scored. I do like these safety markets in primetime games. I hit one or two last year, and it always feels like you get closer than you think a lot of games, especially when you've got money on it and you're actually actively looking for it. Because it only takes one bad snap, and you can cash. I know it doesn't happen every game, but I just like betting it, and especially when I can't bet on any props for the game. This one stood out to me. Joe's gone Calvin Ridley first half touchdown plus 600. I like the price. Will Levis and Calvin Ridley certainly have a connection. He's spamming that deep ball to Calvin Ridley every week, a bit like Trevor Lawrence was doing. He's having more success than Lawrence did. And Ridley's such a funny player. He kind of reminds me of the Anthony Richardson of wide receivers. He, throw it double coverage on a 2% chance and he'll bring it in for a touchdown. You give him a 9-yard dig route open and he'll just fumble the ball. I don't quite know what he is, but he's fun to watch, as is Will Levis, in kind of you watch through your fingers kind of way. You don't know what's going to happen. But I think that might be the best chance we have of enjoyment in this game is Will Levis just airing the F out of the ball.
Yeah, you know what? This one, if you're going to be watching it, this one's the early one, and then Seahawks Lions start, so you can just kind of forget about it. But we're worried for the Dolphins as well as I'm a little Terran Armstead got concussion/eye injury. Terran Armstead, so I don't know if he's in the protocol now. Whether that means he makes Monday. Came out the game against the Seahawks. So tough one for that Miami line. I'm backing. I've got Dolphins on our ATS, and on the basis of Mike McDaniel needs to win them a game.
Yep.
We've mentioned kind of what a job LaFleur's done, to kind of coach Malik Willis through this. What a great coach job Kevin O'Connell's done. The job McVay did last week to get a win for the Rams. McDaniel needs to get his team a win. Yeah. And I think this is going to be, this is going to be the one. I don't feel confident enough to bet it. I might come Monday, but I'm on the under. I think this is going to be just a terrible, terrible game. It's a low under, though, which is always a problem with turnover, potentially a turnover-prone quarterback in Will Levis involved. But under 36.5, I'm going to take. I just couldn't really settle on either side in terms of betting a side, but the Titans are terrible on the road. They're 1-9 straight up in the last 10 on the road and 3-7 against the spread in those 10. The under is 8-2 in those, and the under is 14-6 in the last 20 Dolphins home games, including the last 5 in a row. So that pointed me to the under, and that's where I'm gonna stay for Monday. On to a much better game though.
Yeah.
The Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions. The Lions are 4-point favourites. The over-under on this one's 47. Should be a cracker. Is this going to tell us, are the Seahawks for real? If they can obviously they beat the Lions on the road last year, but is this going to tell us they're 3-0? They've not really played anyone yet. This is a test. If they can go into Detroit and win, the Seahawks might be for real.
That's a really good question. I think it's one of them where if the Lions win, I don't think it's really damning of the Seahawks. But I think if the Seahawks win, then you can put the hype to the rocket ship basically for now. I mean, it's 1 week of sport, it feels like.
Geno to the moon, yeah?
Geno's been on the moon. Don't need to get me started about Geno Smith. I do worry about Geno Smith in this game, though. That Lions defensive front is not joking around. I believe Aiden Hutchinson leads the league in sacks, and he's looking like he's having fun doing it. He's looking really dominant. And this Seahawks line is porous. I struggle with seeing Geno getting time. And as good as Geno's been, even he's not perfect. I'm a huge fan, obviously. but there's very few quarterbacks can deal with pressure in the face all day. And the Lions have now, it was great work in the offseason by the Lions. They've also upgraded the back end as well. The defensive backs, night and day from last year. It's going to be in Detroit. It's going to be loud. It is on a track, which obviously helps getting speedy receivers going if you get time to let them get going. I really hope for this game, on, again, a selfish note, one of my favorite running backs, Kenneth Walker, has missed 2 games with injury. Charbonnet had a great game last week against the Dolphins, kind of mediocre the week before. If he gets going, though, he really does get going. But Kenneth Walker, I think, is just better in basically every aspect. It can be a home run hitter on anything that's there. But my biggest worry is just that Seahawks O-line standing up. I think their defense might cause problems for Jared Goff. Mike McDonald is one of the premier defensive play callers in the league. He has been going back to his time in Baltimore, obviously, as well. And I think, with the league kind of seeing this shift in defensive coaches are having a better time of it this year than offensive coaches, that could be something that leads into a good performance for the Seahawks here. Samuel Laporta is due to be out. I'm pretty sure he's got a low ankle sprain for the Lions, and they have a week 5 bye. I wouldn't be rushing him back for this game and potentially putting his season on hold, because low ankle sprains aren't a season killer. High ankle sprains can be. So, you don't want to interfere with that injury if it's only a low ankle sprain. Miss a week, have your bye, come back fully recovered in week 6 would be my kind of advice. And that's why, all 3 of us here have took receiving yards for the Lions as our bet here. I've gone Jahmyr Gibbs 50+ receiving yards at +600. You've gone Jahmyr Gibbs to get over 100 rushing and receiving yards, which is +215. Much more chance of hitting, I must say. And Joe's gone, and he said Javonte Williams, the Denver running back, Jameson Williams, over 48.5 receiving yards. I truthfully like all 3 of these bets, unsurprisingly, since I've got Gibbs receiving. I was kind of surprised when I was looking at Gibbs's receiving totals in the NFL. He's only gone over 50 twice. And he's never gone, essentially, like, his next highest is 39. And it feels like he should go over that a lot, because he is a really good pass catcher and he's dynamic. But I think this is kind of how they can neutralize that Seahawks front, is to get him out in space, especially with I'm expecting no Laporta.
Yeah. I think that's a play, for the Lions, for sure. The Seahawks potentially could be missing Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams as well. They both came out of the game last week, and I don't know if that was just because potentially they looked banged up and then the game was well in hand, but they're obviously they flashed up on the injury report, which is interesting. The Lions are real banged up as well, but I don't know. I think the Lions could kind of have their way really with the Seahawks in this one.
Yeah, it is a concern. I do have the Seahawks covering. That was kind of a last minute change where I looked and you guys had picked the Lions as well. I was like, I can't let them go down. We got to fight here. So
I'm glad you changed, because when the 3 of us are on a favourite, it never comes in. So I'm glad you did change to give me and Joe a chance.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it is 4 points. Like, it's not nothing. If that line can hold up a little, I think Geno can still cook. If Walker plays, I think that's a huge boost. And I think that defense can cause problems. Like, Jared Goff has looked off this year. He's not looked like Jared Goff from last year. And again, I have him as an MVP bet, so I'm not loving that. A big showing on Monday Night Football would certainly help the cause to get the narrative back in the right direction about Jared Goff and Detroit generally. Because again, I have him tipped to win the Super Bowl as my preseason pick. But yeah, my heart just couldn't let me go against the Seahawks, so I ended up changing that one very late in the day to go Seahawks on our ATS competition. But this is going to be a banger of a game regardless, I think. Even if it ends up being a bit sluggy, if the defensive lines do dominate, I still think it's just going to be very interesting to watch. Mike McDonald has really impressed in his first 3 games against weaker opposition. Again, we do have to asterisk that there. But Dan Campbell as well. There's not many more interesting coaches. Ben Johnson, one of the best offensive play callers in the league over the last few years. He's got his credentials. Dan Campbell, onions like no one else, I think, in the league. He'll call anything, anywhere. So, yeah, it's always good to see the Lions on Monday Night Football. It's always good to see the Seahawks, in my opinion, on Monday Night Football and these primetime games. So, yeah, I think we're getting a bit spoiled with Bills, Ravens, Seahawks, Lions. And apparently there's another game on Monday as well. So, Yeah, should be a really good Sunday night, Monday night anyway.
Don't think there'll be any surprise at which one that Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are at for ESPN on Monday night.
Yeah, I did think of the sending to Miami.
Right, there are game previews for the week. We're on to our FourFold draft.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
I'm going to try and juggle screen duties as well as picks. And I've had the number one pick, so I've got the pick this week. So I could have prepared this, so I was ahead of it, but I didn't. I've been very busy this evening, so I've not had a chance. But yeah, just in case you have not come across our FourFold draft before, you heard Keg earlier on make his picks as part of the FourFold challenge. So the premise is you pick one favourite, one underdog to cover against the spread, an over and an under from the NFL slate for the week. That forms a 4-leg parlay or an accumulator, whatever you like to call it. And we have a competition, but instead of just picking all the games, me, Byron, and Joe draft them so that we haven't got the same selections, no crossover in it. And it's a season-long competition where the loser, whoever has the least amount of wins, will have to go and lock themselves in a fast food restaurant chain of their choice and eat their way out. Yeah, if we're locked in for 24 hours, and I've got to eat their way out. So
I hope Joe likes poutine.
Yeah, hopefully Joe does, because he's terrible at the minute. Joe's dead last 2-10-0, which belies everything else. Everything else he's on fire with. Just this, he just cannot seem to get. Byron, I'm on 5-6-1. We've got the guests at 4-7-1. Keg's picks you've already seen or heard, and then Byron, you're top. I don't think anybody should be top at 500, really, should they? 6-6.
I feel like I'm in the NFC South.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, 6-6. So we're on. We're gonna start hitting these. We have made it more difficult because of the way we're doing it this year.
Yeah.
I think we'll see, but we will start hitting them as we get going. Right.
And as you get more knowledge of the NFL this year.
Yeah.
I always think that's like this first 3 weeks has been a Vegas dream because nobody's hitting.
No.
It's not just us.
Yeah, it's just been chaos. So things should start to settle down. That's the nature of kind of how it goes. I'm first. I'm struggling for unders this week, so I'll take an under with the first pick. And I'm going to go Steelers Colts. It's under 40. Byron, if you just double check the sheet for me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's under 40. Steelers Colts under 40. Really impressed with kind of how the Steelers have been going so far. Just controlling, just ball control offense. Asking Justin Fields has been progressively getting better, but again, just asking him really not to make mistakes, basically not losing the game, and let that defense do its job, and it has been doing its job extremely well so far. So and the Colts suck. In short, I think Chiefs will run. The Steelers I think will just run all over them. I know Najee Harris was banged up a bit, but I expect to see healthy doses of Harris and Warren, even though they're both both banged up. Even Fields utilizing his legs, and I just think the Colts offensively have been struggling. I'm not convinced at all with Andy Richardson, as we've discussed, and I think this is one again where that Steelers defense can just have a field day and go kind of do some stat padding. I think. Yeah,
absolutely. Don't hate this. Again, what score do you see the Colts being able to get to? 14, 13 maybe? I don't see the Steelers putting them 30 because I think they're happy to put up one more than you.
Yeah. Well, that's the way
kind of the
Tomlin's happy to play it. Yeah.
Exactly,
They've got their way of playing and might not necessarily be the most crowd-pleasing way of doing it, but it's goddamn effective and it's working for them so far in 2024. So, don't expect to see them change at all. And, why would you? I think also the Colts have got, to get something going defensively at some point because they've just been so porous against the run. But I just can't see it happening this week against the Steelers team that's so good. They've Steelers have said injuries on the O-line as well, but I don't think that's going to stop them this week.
Well, I think Fortano is out for the season, their rookie tackle, which, it's always hard to see rookies miss out so early in their first year. But I don't think it's going to be an issue this week because I think if Chicago can go up and down the field on you, then Pittsburgh almost certainly will. Yeah. So, I don't hate this in any way, and we'll see kind of what I think of the Steelers running game when we get to Fantasy Gameday. Little teaser there for us. So my pick, I am going to take an under as well. I'm going to go Saints Falcons under 42.5. Kind of a bit of a common theme to a degree here. O-line injuries. The Falcons are a bit banged up on the O-line. Saints center Eric McCoy out for a few weeks, I believe it's going to be. Got guards out as well. Kamara
was injured, wasn't he? Or banged up last week.
Yeah. Kamara's missing training today with a hip and rib injuries, I believe. Just none of it really sells me of things are going well fitness-wise, I guess. And I think the Saints have obviously started really well, especially in the first 2 games. Last week was a bit of a crash down to earth. But a lot of that, deep hitting plays downfield, passing to Shaheed especially. I do worry, Jesse Bates has been a big talking point in every single Falcons game, and obviously Simmons is there now as well, making plays. Is there going to be any nerviness in New Orleans of going after the deep plays with those two sitting back there waiting to pick? One of them drives to end with an interception for that under to look really good. I don't think the Falcons are going to run up a score either. Bijan Robinson is kind of the heartbeat of that team still, and I think he should be. Drake London's playing really well. Kind of worried about Kyle Pitts as a NFL player. I think we've all been sold a bit of a bag of goods on Kyle Pitts, truthfully. So that's where that is, I think. But Drake London's looking really good. But again, Drake London's not going like Rashid Shaheed and going down the field for 50-yard gains. He's a chain mover, and he's really good at it. It's a skill that you want to see. So, yeah, I just think that both offenses might be happy with a bit of ball control, and I think this could end up being like a 17 to 13, 14 game. And 42.5, it's not a super high number, but I think it might be just a little too high to get to with defenses taking a bit more of a lead and the O-line issues on both sides.
Yeah, key divisional game, obviously massive, and it could be for these two. Expecting these two to fight out potentially for the division as well. Yeah. At this point, if you're the Saints, and you get to 2 games ahead of them with a game up on them in the series, it's a great shot. So it should be a fun game, and these two teams absolutely hate each other as well. So it should be a fun one. Joe's on the Bengals. I think it's 4.5, isn't it? Not 5.5. So,
yeah.
Sorry, that was just the graphic. Joe's gone the Bengals. So Keg's on the Panthers and Joe's on the Bengals. Do I die for the Bengals now? Surely at 0-3.
100%. Yeah, this was in my mind of maybe what favorite I would be taking as well, because I just think, again, especially now the Panthers have got that win. I mean, that might help them. They might loosen up, and they might go for another winner. It'd be great to see Andy Dalton revenge game, obviously. Dalton to shine, but I just think that the Bengals really, really need this. And that doesn't always pay off, losing teams keep losing, despite how much they need it quite often in the league. But the Bengals don't feel like a losing team. Their offense has been fine. The defense is a big concern, though. If it doesn't improve, then Lou Anarumo is going to be an ex-defensive coordinator, maybe by the end of the season, if not at the end of the season. I guess the good thing for them is that the Bengals are cheap and they don't really fire people in season, so he's probably going to keep his job the rest of the year. But they can't tackle.
Yeah,
it's been a common theme in all their games, and it was the same again Monday Night Football against the Commanders, where Brian Robinson hits you and you're the one who goes down, not him. And same with Ramondre Stevenson the week opening week. They just can't get out of their own way, and you can see kind of Burrow's frustration when he's been interviewed after the game. And I think Burrow is fairly expressive. Maybe more than he should be, I would dare say sometimes. That he's not quite Joe Cool, as he likes to sell himself, maybe. And he does let things bubble over maybe a little much. But their offense is really close to hitting. T. Higgins nearly had a touchdown on Monday as well, which would have got them going. They really don't feel a million miles away on offense. The defense is an issue. It's just, can the Panthers keep up and take advantage of those issues? I'm not sure they can for a second week. Wouldn't be out of the realm possibility, but this was on my favourite shortlist as well. So yeah, I certainly obviously don't hate it.
I think the Bengals might just take out a bit of frustration here on the Panthers, as much as obviously a bit feel good for Carolina at the minute.
Yeah.
I think Dalton played unbelievably well. I think will naturally be a little bit of drop off. Thielen will be a big miss. And I know it wasn't massive stats wise, but it was just that trusted veteran that Andy Dalton could go to. I know Deontay Johnson had a good game. Never seen that from him consistently. And Legette's not really got going, so I think they might struggle to move the ball a bit. And that Bengals defense has a massive point to prove. So I think it'll tighten up. Also, Joe Burrow needs to make a trip to the barbers this week. You cannot be an 0-3 quarterback and have that haircut.
Yeah.
I think I'm come Sunday, I'll be quite big on the Bengals. The line's good. It's 4.5. I think it's moved a little bit already, but if I see a picture of Joe Burrow and his eyes been to the barbers and had that head, his head shaved or dyed the hair or something, you've got to get rid of those frosted tips. The M&M lookout what they had earlier in the frosted tips. You've got to get it gone. You cannot be an 0-3 quarterback and have that haircut. So, Joe, get to the barbers. Let's start taking this shit seriously.
Fair. What's Joe's second pick?
Joe's second pick, he's on the Titans. We've talked about this game already. Titans is a 1 point. No? Titans are a 1 point favourite. I've just realised. Titans are -1, aren't they?
Is he taking the Dolphins?
No, he's put underdog Titans.
He's got Titans on the sheet.
Okay, so we have to change. What's he gone on the ATS? He's gone Titans on the sheet.
Yeah.
Okay, well he just must have thought, how possibly are the Titans a favourite? They can't be. It must have been a typo. It must have been a typo from Paul. In that case, then Joe, sorry, you're not on the Titans, buddy. You're on the Saints. The underdog Saints. I think they're 1.5.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
God damn it.
That's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. I just realised when I was putting it on, that's all on Joe. That's definitely Joe's fault.
I seen you putting it on, and I just figured that he had the Dolphins, and I didn't look at the sheet. I just figured he'd pick the Dolphins because.
Well, yeah, that's not what he's like. I said, that's not what he's messaged me, so that's not what he's getting. But yeah, he's on the Saints. I love the Saints. So had this still been sticking around, that'd have been what I'd have taken as the favourite. The Dolphins. Got me saying Dolphins now. The Falcons are terrible as home favourites. They really are. And they really, really are terrible as home favourites. So yeah, I love the Saints here. I expect it to be close. I'll love the 1.5 for the Saints. So that'll be a bet I make come Sunday. But yeah, plus 1.5 for the New Orleans Saints for Joe. Now we've rectified that error. Byron, you pick away. You make your second pick, mate.
Oh, yeah. So I've got favourite and underdog. Okay, I'll just go. Surprising underdog. We've discussed this game in depth. We don't need to go too deep on it, so you can start thinking of yours here. I'll take the Bills plus 2.5 over the Ravens. I had a few FourFolds last year when I went against the Ravens, and it always bit me on the butt. So hopefully, new year, new me. Hopefully, it's not going to be the case this year, but. I talked about this game in depth earlier. I just think the Bills, they've got a lot. They've got too much, and they're playing so good right now. And the Ravens kind of aren't. Obviously, they whooped the Cowboys. But to quote Beyonce, this ain't Texas. So
any opportunity to use that lyric is a great one, really.
I didn't sing it, so we'll take our small blessings there.
Yeah. I would have been made much better for a much better podcast episode if you did.
Well, we'll see what we can do next week. See who's not in Texas next week. Like I say, I just worry about the Ravens, and I don't worry about the Bills, which I kind of thought I would worry about the Bills coming into the season, but they've been so good. Their offense is absolutely firing that I have no reason to. So, yeah, excellent. I think you're on the Bills as well, so you don't need to hear the other side of it. Joe's on the Ravens, but knowing Joe, we don't even know if that's what he meant to pick. He might have meant to pick the Bills.
Possibly at this point, yeah. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just catching up, and it's my pick as well, so I'm just trying to work out. You've both got, so I don't need to pick my underdog, do I? Because you've both picked I need a favourite or an over, don't I? Here, so
you do.
Yeah, would have been the Saints. I'd have taken the Saints plus 1.5, as mentioned. I just love that. pick because the Falcons are just trash as a home favourite. Real bad. And I just think the Saints are better than the Falcons. Need to clean up this graphic as well. Apologies, Joe. I'm doing a terrible job this week. I thought I did a real good job last week, and then this week I've had a nightmare so far.
Me. The Bills are 2.5, by the way, not 3.
Yes, it's just the preset that Joe has.
I figured.
Apologies. Right, so I need a. What do I need? I need a favorite or an over. Favorite or an over. I'm gonna go. Fuck it, give me the fun over. Commanders Cardinals.
Yeah.
Give it to me. Give me all the points.
Let's
50.
go, yeah.
I usually hate these. I hate these high numbers, but I'm just hoping because we had a bit of a letdown last week with Cardinals as a high. It was 50. Was it 52?
I think it ended up 36, right?
Yeah, it came in real. Did it come in at 33, maybe?
Yeah, in my head it was 36, but it might be 33.
Yeah,
it was way off anyway.
Yeah, it was like a real slow second half, but Commanders defensively are terrible.
Yeah, and the Cardinals defense isn't great either.
Yeah,
they've been playing better than I think I expected them to, but I still don't think they were a talent-heavy unit. And we get to see Jaden Daniels again against Kyler Murray, who, outside of Josh Allen, maybe they've been the quarterback 2 and 3 so far this year.
Yeah,
certainly in watchability. I don't know about actually stats because I feel I'm doing some people harsher there. Maybe Sam Darnold would have a claim, but Monday Night Football we haven't done a recap of, but man, what a play to ice that game. Jaden Daniels. I mean, that was Jaden Daniels' coming out party, obviously, but that throw to Terry McLaurin to win the game was absolutely very high level quarterback play. Just instantly, it was so good to see. This guy is a star immediately. And Cliff Kingsbury is moving Terry McLaurin away from the left hand side, and he can actually run routes across the field. Who knew? If Cliff Kingsbury is evolving and actually calling, not very predictable offense for a change, Washington might go for the playoffs. Like, it's not completely crazy. And I obviously love Malik Neighbors, but Jaden Daniels should be the favorite for the Rookie of the Year right now because he's a quarterback and he's just a real highlight to the league right now. He's so good to watch.
Unreal. I mean, I think it was the highest minimum 20 passes, most accurate rookie quarterback performance. I don't think it was the 91 point something. I think he missed 2 throws. He had more touchdowns than he did in completions.
Yeah.
It was insane. And just a weird thing from the game, it's the first NFL game since 1940 where there were 0 punts and 0 turnovers. And the Commanders have gone 2 consecutive games without punting.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting.
Which is crazy.
And what I loved as well on that final drive for Washington as well, they had the 4th and 4 where I don't think it was in field goal range, but you could have punted it. And Dan Quinn didn't seem to think about it. He just went, we're going for it. And it's like, okay, cool. Dan Quinn's like, there was that period, again, around the NFL dubbed him Riverboat Run when Ron Rivera started going for things in Carolina after he just hadn't for a long time. And I think it's when he got Cam Newton that he was like, okay, let's just push chips in. We've got a great offense. We've got a great quarterback. Let's just go for it. And if Dan Quinn's going to do that, I'm all for it. And the Cardinals, no slouches either. They'll probably are missing Trey McBride this week, which I think does hurt their total upside. But Elijah Higgins has kind of had little flashes as tight end. Michael Wilson had a good game last week against Detroit. Marvin Harrison Jr. is Marvin Harrison Jr. James Conner's been cooking. Greg Dortch, the little weapon, just gets open at will on those little slot routes. So I don't think there's much reason to back off on it. It is over 50.5, by the way, Paul, not 50.
Is it 50.5 on our sheet? Sorry, yes.
No, you're fine. I don't see any reason to back off if Trey McBride does miss it. You'd like everybody to be out there, but yeah, this is such a fun over, and I think it's going to be a really fun game. I like that it's in the late window as well, so we'll see more of it than if it was in the 3 o'clock window. 3 o'clock window? Is that the right time? No, it is in the 3 o'clock window. It's not in the 12 o'clock window or the 6 p.m. window. So many different time zones to keep track of. Because, I don't think the Patriots 49ers is going to be like a banger of a game. And I'm not sure the Browns Raiders is going to be a banger of a game. And I'm not sure the Chiefs Chargers is going to be a high scoring game. So we should be seeing a lot of Washington, Arizona is kind of my TLDR there.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on to the next one for me, then I'm going to take my favourite, and we're going to talk about moving from a fun game to one not so fun. I'm going to take the Raiders as 1 point favourites at home against the Browns. I'm going to believe that Antonio Pierce has ruffled some feathers this week after the stinking performance the Raiders put out against the Carolina Panthers last week. The Browns are fucking woeful. I'll take the Raiders as a 1 point favourite, I think. The Raiders screwed me last week as a favourite in this, but I'm hoping they're not going to do me 2 weeks in a row. So Raiders -1 against the Browns. They're just less terrible than the Browns is where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I don't have a strong argument to the contrary, I must say. I think this is a real tough game to pick, I must say. I did pick the Browns on ATS, but with very little conviction. I just don't know what you're getting from the Browns on a week-to-week. I mean, I'm not really sure what you're getting from the Raiders on a week-to-week either. So home field is worth something, obviously. Antonio Pierce did come out and say he's going to be Gardner Minshew a starter. I'm not sure if that means Gardner Minshew finishes the game, because, again, the Browns' defensive front is still legit, whatever the rest of the team is. I'd love to see Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, Gardner Minshew has such a better zing to it, doesn't it?
That'd be a great game.
Yeah, whereas this has what's the over-under on this game? 37.
Yeah. Tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, Jameis had bumped this up a few points, and it'd just be much more watchable because Deshaun Watson is, he went through it the other day in terms of the EPA of Browns quarterbacks in the 21st century. He's dead rank last. And it shows. He kind of looks like he's learning the position. Well, not very well, but yeah, it's very confusing how bad he is. So yeah, I'll always cheer for the Browns to lose. So I know I've picked the Browns on my ATS, but fingers crossed for you this week.
Excellent. Byron, your next pick, you've got an under and an underdog, so you need a favourite or an over next.
Yeah, I'll take... Okay, Joe's not taking my favourite, so I'll find an over quickly. I did have one in mind a second ago. Where's it gone? This is great broadcasting.
Great podcasting, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with the Bengals Panthers over 48. Again, two bad defenses. Bengals offense cooking. We expect them to put on a show here. But yeah, I'll take the Bengals over 48 against the Panthers. We've talked about this game quite a bit, so I don't think we need to go too much more on it. But yeah, I'm sure Jamar Chase will be looking at a get-right game. T. Higgins will be looking at finally, getting the game going. And we all know Yoshi Vass will just fall for 2 touchdowns. So
yeah, just seems to be the way. Yeah. Thanks for picking a game that had the graphics already on the screen for me, because that made it really easy. Appreciate it. I
can't promise my favourite is already on the screen, though. So
no, it's fine. We're good at that point. Joe, we've got to finish off Joe, so it doesn't matter, does it, which order, because he's got the back-to-back pick. So Joe is on, what does he need? He's got a favourite underdog. He needs a total. So I've taken his under, which was Steelers Colts. He's on under Titans Dolphins. There we go. So we got his Titans Dolphins game anyway. So he's on that as the under, and then that's the underdog. I picked the wrong graphic. And then his over will be Saints Falcons. So he's going up against you, Byron.
All right, well, bring it on, Joe. So he's going underdog and over. Interesting. Yeah, I can certainly understand the Titans Dolphins as an under. Is it 41.5 points?
It's not. No, that's just.
Oh, sorry, that's the default.
It's template to make it. Yeah,
I was going to say, I would have picked that as my under, surely. Yeah, 36.5. Much
they
more.
Could have played. They could play twice and not get to that total, I think.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah, 36.5 is still very attackable. Unlike both offenses in this game, not very attackable. So, yeah, Tyler Huntley versus Will Levis doesn't scream over.
It screams pride time. That's what it screams.
Yeah, the CFL's getting on prime time now. Good for them. Yeah, again, we've buried this game enough, I'm sure. I really hope that Miami are going to be better than we anticipate, because I've got a lot of Davin Achan in fantasy this year. I have a lot of Jalen Waddle as well. I won't be starting Jalen Waddle anywhere. Achan, you can kind of trust it'll get some volume and might break one. Jalen Waddle, again, like I said this last week, I'll try and bench Tyreek Hill if I can. I benched him in Scott Fishbowl this week, and that was a good decision. I can't remember who I benched him for, but it was someone not very good. But he outscored him. And yeah, Jalen Waddle, I didn't start anywhere last week. I'm not sure how he did, but I know it wasn't good. And I'll be doing the same this week. Even, I mentioned Michael Wilson earlier for the Cardinals. Even someone like that, I'll just start because I trust he'll get 4 or 5 targets. I've no confidence in anything coming out of Miami, as I've kind of made clear. So I will start Achan in fantasy, but I don't think I'll be paying up for him in Fantasy Gameday or any of those kind of competitions.
That's fair enough.
Well, you couldn't because he's on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, you couldn't anyway. Byron, you're on your last one. You need a favourite.
Yeah, I struggled with the favourites this week, which is quite unusual for me. I'm normally more struggling with the underdogs. But I am going to actually a lone wolf on our ATS on this one as well. I'm going to go Texans -7 against the Jags because the Jags look... I can't remember who I described as lost at sea earlier. It might have been the Jaguars because they look... I can't believe how bad they look. Yeah. And Doug Peterson... I mean, it kind of goes without saying that if it carries on like this, he's not surviving. Obviously, you can't have a coach this bad. And their owner Shad Khan came out and said this is the greatest Jaguars team on paper ever, which is incorrect, but is telling you of how he feels, and is really again cranking up the heat on that hot seat of Doug Peterson and that offensive coaching staff. They just paid Trevor Lawrence, so Trevor Lawrence isn't going anywhere, come what may. He doesn't look good. He doesn't look confident. He doesn't look organized. That offense doesn't look in any way. It doesn't look like an NFL team, really. I'm surprised how bad they look. I thought they'd be kind of fine this year. I thought Texans would take the division. I kind of maybe a little underwhelmed with the Texans, though. Again, I think their big defeat in Minnesota last week didn't get as much coverage because there were so many other upsets. But I think that was a really bad defeat for the Texans. So I think they're going to want to bounce back with a big win here. And they are at home against a Jags team who I don't know if they have a bounce back in them. Coming into the Bills game, Doug Peterson, John Shipley, the Jags reporter, had said he looks as down as I've ever seen him. Which, I mean, is not being down that often, I would dare say, in Jacksonville. It's not been the worst time that first year. But yeah, coming off that Browns defeat, he said he looked really down then. He didn't look like he was rallying the players. And then after this Bills defeat, which, I mean, that was a curb stomping, wasn't it? What, 47-10, I think the final score was?
Yeah, it was crazy. They just had nothing. There was a particular play, I was pinpoint one play, like Trevor Lawrence just looked like a complete rookie. Like, he span around and span into trouble, and he just looked terrible. And you're like, what is he? Is this year 4 now?
Yeah.
And he's put kind of one half season together, really, because he wasn't particularly...
the end of 22 season, he was great.
Yeah. And but even when they got to 8-3 to start last year, he didn't look great.
No, there was plenty of mistakes in there.
Yeah. I'm real worried for them. I think Doug Peterson, if this carries on in their offer coming back from London, he might be left in London.
I agree, yeah. And I mean, if this is similar to Monday, he might be not going to London.
I don't know. I don't know if they pull the trigger on him after 4.
If this is a 30-point butt whipping, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not really necessarily calling for it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I did see a tweet that made me laugh a lot this week. And normally I don't have it on my screen to say who it was to give him a shout out, but it was like basically maybe Urban Meyer wasn't the problem if only he had a quarterback.
Well, look,
was Trevor Lawrence holding Urban Meyer back? No, obviously not. But it was funny to think back on, like, all that Trevor Lawrence needs is a coach, and so maybe it turns out he needs a little more than that. Yeah. Or Doug Peterson is Frank Reich too, and he's completely out of his depth.
Could be, yeah. I find it interesting to see that all the quarterbacks that signed the big contracts in the offseason have struggled. Dak struggling.
Yeah, Jordan Love, I'll give a pass to.
Yeah, pass to, that's fine. Goff struggling. He's not played great.
Tua,
obviously.
I think Tua was struggling before he got injured.
He was struggling,
in that. Trevor Lawrence looks the worst he's ever looked. I would hazard to guess that.
Yeah.
Has anyone else got paid?
I think that was everyone, wasn't it, in this cycle?
Yeah, not a good bunch though. Oh, Dak got paid. Dak's been all right.
That's what I mean. Dax, yeah.
He's been all right.
Yeah, that's what I
When
mean.
that's like the best of the bunch, and he's been all right.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting. It's like it just brings all of a sudden that extra expectation and pressure, all that money. But I'm obviously finishing off. Thanks for your patience in this while I've been juggling the screens. I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take the trap. That's a trap. It's the Rams +3. It's a trap. I walked into it the week before. Dodge left it last week. Walking into the trap this week. Rams +3 at the Bears. It's Rams at Bears, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Caleb, some progress last week, still some brain dead plays. The Rams, even though they're real banged up, McVay is a better coach than Eberflus. And that's it.
Yeah. No wild disagreement from me there.
Yeah. So I'll take that. I've not had a chance to put the odds on, but those are our FourFolds. Maybe this
it's always
is the
between
week.
12 and 1300. We know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. We're a lot on that Saints game. We've got almost all four sides of that Saints game. We've got the under, the over, and the Saints as the under. So plenty in that one. That's going to make.
Well, you've done well to steer clear. So
yeah, I
would
would
be your best pick of the weekend.
Yeah, I would have took the Saints if it had gone past Joe, assuming you'd have still taken the Bills. But yeah, no, I like it. I always like my FourFold though. So
I was about to say this might be my favorite looking one this year. So.
I was tempted to take the Cowboys, but I don't want to risk the FourFold on a Thursday night.
I hate taking the Thursday games. Yeah, it's like taking 12:30 kickoff. Yeah, never like it.
Excellent. Those are our FourFolds. And Keg took, you heard it before, but Keg took the Niners as his favourite, -10. Panthers +4.5 for his underdog. KC Chargers over 39 and Cowboys Giants under 45 for his. So hopefully we'll get a winner this week. Moving on then, our ATS predictions. Joe's leading the way in this one. He's 3 games clear of Byron and a further 6 games clear of me. We pick every game as part of this competition. No crazy forfeit for this one, though. But we'll just touch on the games that we haven't talked about. Cowboys Giants, which would have played by the time this comes out. We're all on the Giants -5.5. Has to be a bounce back game for Dallas, this one.
We're all on the Cowboys.
Yeah, all on the Cowboys. Has to be. Cowboys own the Giants. Really need this one. Yeah. We'll see. Me and Joe.
CeeDee Lamb has come out and apologised for his conduct and his performance on Sunday.
It's bigger than. Yeah, he was acting like a baby on it on the sideline.
Yeah, and as pathetic as all that stuff is, I do give him some credence for actually literally coming out and doing something about it. Hopefully it doesn't happen again because it can't.
Yeah, go catch the football. That's what I need you to do, CD. So, yeah. That's all we need you to do. Me and Joe on the Saints, you're on the Falcons. Me and Joe on the Rams, you're on the Bears. I'm lone soldier on the Packers. You two are on the Vikings +2.5. The Steelers, we've talked about that game a little bit. Me and you on Steelers -2, Byron. Joe on the Colts. New York Jets, we've not talked about this game at all. Jets 7.5-point favourites at home to the Broncos. That's one of those big numbers that I'm nervous about.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Jets initially, and then I just pivoted. Denver were really good last week. If Sean Payton keep Bo Nix moving and keep them ticking and going down the field in, chunks rather than, little chunks rather than trying to get 50-yard games, I think they can irritate the Jets here. I think that defense is better than I thought maybe coming into the season. And, if you stick, it seems to be something we say every week, kind of, if you stick Pat Surtain on Garrett Wilson, and then say to the Jets, beat us with what the rest of you have. We'll do 10 on 10. I kind of like that matchup for the Broncos, I must say. And I knew you were waiting for one coming. You ready for a music trivia question?
Hit me.
I mean, Joe's not here to try and win this one, but as a favorite as a underdog in New York Jets, visiting the New York Jets, Denver have are 0-3-1, so they've covered 3 times, 3-0-1, and 1 push. So the last time that the Broncos failed to cover the spread, it was a push, was September 1994. Do you know what the UK number 1 was?
September 1994. I'm going to say September 94. Is it? I just have a song in my head then to go for it. September 94, what could it be? Oh, I'm taking too long on this. I literally can't think of a song from 92, 93, 94 that it would have been 1994. Not a clue. Not even a guess.
Not even a guess. Come on. I'll give you a little...
Need a clue.
So prior to this, Love Is All Around by Wet 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 had been number one for 15 weeks in a row. And then this came along, and it was the first ever single that was a debut single by an artist to go straight in at number one.
No clue. Love Is All Around is a banger, though, to be fair.
Yeah. But yeah, it got knocked off number one by Saturday Night by Wigfield. Saturday Night.
Joe would have probably got that.
I'm going to text him after this. So yeah, he won't have had a chance to listen to it. Never mind, will have listened to it.
What song was I was thinking of? I can't remember. I was thinking of a song then, and it was a similar vein, but I might have been the Macarena. I might have been thinking of, but that might have been a bit too early for that.
But yeah, also the Broncos have never lost. They're 3-1 all time in New York against the Jets. 3-0-1 against the spread. The Jets have never covered against the Broncos at home ever. And it's gone over 4 times out of 4.
Interesting. I just fancy Rodgers and the Jets. We saw
Rodgers looked good last week,
and they've kind of had the mini bye as well, playing Thursday night. So yeah, I really do fancy them. Feel like they might get rolling now, which was kind of what we said. Maybe they struggle week 1 against the Niners and then start rolling, and they have done. Eagles Bucks, we've not touched on this game. Eagles 2.5-point underdogs at Tampa. I feel this might be a little bit of a trap as well after last week where they were 2.5-point underdogs at New Orleans, but I've taken the Eagles. I know they've got injuries. I know Devonta Smith, no AJ Brown, Lane Johnson potentially missing as well, but I think this is a Saquon run all over him game.
Yeah, I went Tampa. I'm low on Tampa here. I just kind of worried again, same. All the offensive pieces that are missing for Philly. Tampa need a bounce back after last week. That was embarrassing. So, yeah, I've just gone with 2.5 points and at home. Tampa to squeak it out. I agree on Saquon, though, as we'll see when we get to Fantasy Gameday.
Yeah, fair. We're all on the Bengals to cover against Carolina. I'm on the Jags. I just think they've got me and Joe on the Jags. I just think Jags have just got to show some sort of pride, and I don't think they'll necessarily win the game, but I think they can keep moving a touchdown because the Texans haven't exactly been blowing teams away, have they? So, yeah, I just think divisional game again, tight. Jacksonville can keep it close, and then they need to have an improved performance, if not a victory. Roll on the Cardinals, 3.5-point underdogs. I think there might be a bit of a drop off for Jane Daniels this week, even though he was incredible on Monday. Short week out west.
Probably not too much of a drop off because you have got it as an over.
Yeah, I've got it as an over. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, Roll on the Patriots +10. I think it's just too many points. Niners are so banged up. Patriots were terrible last week as well, weren't they? So mini bye again. So hopefully again they'll keep it close. Raiders we mentioned. The Raiders are my favourite on my FourFold. Joe's also on them. -1 at home to the Browns. Chiefs. Me and Byron on the Chiefs -8.5. Me and Byron also on the Bills +2.5. Joe's on the Ravens. I've taken the Dolphins as the 1-point underdog versus the Titans, and we're all on the Lions. So we'll see how our ATS picks do. Also, keep an eye out on our socials for the rest of our Sunday bets. You'll see anything we've not talked about on the pod, plus extra bets for the televised games. You'll see, you'll see across our Twitter and Instagram at GTW_GTC. So make sure you are following along. Last but not least for us this week, Fantasy Gameday. The UK's fastest growing and by far and away best daily fantasy NFL game. Go join, take part of it. You pick a team using your budget. The players are priced each week. Go fill out your squad. Watch the points roll in. If you finish in the top 20%, then you will be given a cash prize. We missed out last week, but we will be back this week with a much better effort, I'm sure. £100 for the winners last week for the three top winners, and then obviously staggered for the rest of the placings. It was 40 odd people got paid out. They've paid out over £20,000 so far, Fantasy Gameday, in just over the one season that they've been involved. Make sure you use promo code COVER. You'll be given a free entry once you've signed up and put in a squad for the first time. You'll get given an extra entry. I've also noticed a typo on the screen as well, which is fun. But yeah, it's 18 years to enter, UK only. Please gamble responsibly. Byron, let's start with that typo. Your quarterback, Justin Fields, isn't £8,200. He's £5,200, I think, in
It's 5,400 on the sheet, if that helps. And Burrow's 5,200. So I don't know if you've got mixed up between the two.
Possibly, yeah. Is it what? So he's 5,200, yeah?
54 Justin Fields.
5,400, yeah. Terrible typo from me. Apologies, Gurmy.
No, it's all right. But the crux of it is the Colts can't stop the run. Justin Fields is really getting going on the run. He's very targeted on George Pickens when he's throwing the ball. And the Colts can't do much to stop anyone defensively. So I think there's going to be a real run-heavy scheme from the Steelers. I think Fields is going to get going. And, we talk about it a lot. I mentioned it earlier with like Jaden Daniels against Patrick Mahomes in terms of hitting them big number games. You need a rushing quarterback to get to these 30-point marks. Or you need an incredible passing game. That's not what I'm expecting from Justin Fields. I just think he's going to run. If he gets 2 rushing touchdowns, if he can go over 50 rushing yards, then you've really got yourself an incredible floor. For then any passing work kind of becomes a benefit, a bonus on top of that. Very low on the Colts defense. The Steelers offense is going, and it's going as Mike Tomlin would want it to. So, I just think it just feels he's going to hit huge one of these weeks, and I think no greater than this one.
Yeah, was going to be my shout until I'd seen you'd already put him on the sheet. I'm on Burrow. We've already kind of mentioned it's do or die for the Bengals, and actually he had a great week fantasy perspective-wise on Monday. Yeah. So, can't see why that won't continue. This week, 5,400 is kind of like same price as Fields there. Is kind of like right in the middle of the quarterback prices. I think it's probably 9 or 10 ahead of him. There's a lot at that fourth. Burrow's I put second type, but Burrow's 5,200, not 5,400, or even cheaper. Sorry. And then David Carr, Jesus Christ. Derek Carr, Joe's picked for 5,400 for the Saints against the Falcons, hopefully, hoping for a bit more explosiveness from the Saints than they saw last week. Joe's on Mike Evans. He's been real quiet, hasn't he? He had a kind of decent week 1, but 2 and 3 struggled. So potentially Evans get back on track. We know what, obviously, we're fully expecting to get 1,000 yards again, so he's going to have to catch up soon.
Yeah. I'd hate if that streak to ever end. So hopefully that gets going. And, it'd be nice to see, I've picked the Bucs to cover this week, and it's always nice to see Philly lose. So hopefully Mike Evans does get going with a banger this week.
Excellent. You're on Michael Wilson of the Cardinals and what we're expecting to be a high-scoring game against the Commanders. 3,200. This is a real way to be able to then bulk your team.
Yeah, that's kind of the entire aim of it, really. So, they played Detroit last week, 9 targets, 8 receptions, 64 yards. I don't think Trey McBride's going to play. I think Eli Higgins is an okay bet to get a touchdown, but I don't think he's going to get a huge amount of work. Wilson, he missed a lot of his rookie year with a shoulder injury, but he's kind of flashed quite a few times just as a number 2, number 3 wide receiver. I think all attention, as much as Washington can give attention in the passing game, goes to Marvin Harrison. And I think Wilson might eat up another 10 targets here. So, at 3,200, I think he's just a really nice enabler that lets you, put in kind of a lot of what you want, especially if you can go discount tight end. I don't think we've gone a tight end in our sheet this week, but I think there's a good few tight end options that you could go at like close to minimum and then absolutely stack the rest of your roster with like top level players. So I think Wilson is just a great enabler this week for
that. Mention that I think Ertz is a really good option.
Yep. Yeah, high scoring game.
Yeah, 2,200. And I think he got five targets, 5 receptions last week. He's had a minimum 4 targets a game so far. So
Kingsbury likes him, and he's trustworthy. He's is like the definition of a solid pair of hands.
Yeah, so could be a good way as well to help enable. I've gone Rashee Rice. They started on fire. He is that passing offense for the Chiefs. 5,800 for Rashee Rice. What is he? Most receptions in the NFL? 21 so far across 3 weeks. Is that right?
He's number 1, yeah. I can't remember if he's 23, 22, 21. He's in the he's in the low 20s, yeah. He's one ahead of Malik Neighbors, famously.
Yeah, so, Rashee Rice. And then as my running back option, I've gone Najee Harris. I just think the Steelers could potentially run all over the Colts. And £5,000 is pretty good value in that running back list. You've gone Saquon?
Yeah, if I'm going to have one enabling, I'm going to have one blow your budget on as well. And I just think no Devonta Smith, no AJ Brown. What did you pay Saquon Barkley for? Well, you paid for games like last week against Saints where he wins you the game. And if there's no Vita Vea, you can run on Tampa Bay without much problem. And I think that's what they're going to do. I think Hurts is going to be dumping to Saquon Barkley. Barkley's going to be getting the ball I'm not going to say 30 carries, but I think he's going to be getting 20 plus carries this week. And you give him that many carries against a team that just got run out of love by the Denver Broncos, I think Barkley should and could be in a captain conversation this week. I think there's a fair chance he's a top scoring player on the slate. And even if he's not that level, I don't think there's a better running back on the slate, certainly.
No, good shout. And then Joe's gone Travis Etienne Jr. I didn't really get any comments from him as to why.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be putting Etienne in my lineup, I must say. I hate the Jags this week as I took the Texans as my 7-point favourite, which I think limits the ability for Etienne to get work. If they keep this closer, though, there isn't much else for Jacksonville. Brian Thomas going deep and then Etienne trying to eat up. So Etienne is due a big game. He's a really good running back. It's just I don't think the game script favours him this week. But heck, I've been wrong plenty of times before.
Yeah, and Joe has been right a lot recently. So, yeah, Travis Etienne, 5,600 for the Jags at Houston. Byron, that's us wrapped up.
Had a good time.
Yeah, well, Scott Kegg's bit that started this, so it'll probably be around 2 hours again. So if you stuck with us all the way through, we appreciate you. Just a reminder, if you're not, follow us, Spotify, Good Teams and Great Teams cover. You'll be notified when new episodes drop. Friday morning for a preview, Tuesday morning for a review. 2 episodes a week all throughout the season. Go sign up to Fantasy Gameday if you've not done already. As long as you're over 18 and in the UK, use promo code COVER. Make sure you're playing. It's so much fun, and you can win cash. It's ace. And then, follow our socials for the rest of our posts, and you'll see the bets and everything going on across the slate, Instagram, Twitter, X.
Charlie will have an actual pick up tomorrow for Good Teams Win Great Teams cover.
Yeah, Charlie pick on TikTok as well. So at GTW_GTC across all of those. Byron, I will see you Tuesday or Monday that we record for the review. Have a great week,
Cheers. You too, Matt.